Many of us are in search of a free and agile voice that is both healthy and stylistically appropriate to our chosen genre. But how do we know when we've achieved the high and lofty goal of a free voice? Well, there are 8 critical aspects that every voice needs to cover, and we are going to look at every single one coming right up.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
G'day, my name is Dr. Dan and I'm a contemporary singing voice specialist. I'm passionate about helping you to realise the full potential of your singing voice. And we do that here on the Voice Essentials channel every week with new videos, so hit the subscribe button if you want me to help you to become the best singer you can possibly be. When I'm teaching my private students, I always provide a lesson sheet for each new exercise that we do in a session. At the bottom of each lesson sheet is a section called Areas of Focus. There are 8 areas of focus: body, breath management, channel, phonation, resonance, pitch, and loudness and articulation. I've borrowed these terms from Christina Shewell's book, Voice Work, Art and Science in Changing Voices. When discussing the concept of free voice, Shewell writes, if a voice is free, it has the potential ability to move anywhere along the human voice pitch range, to imitate or produce any particular quality, resonance or volume. And I love what she writes next about the free voice. It can soar, croak, whisper, shout, squeak and growl and talk for hours without tiring, weakening or straining. It all sounds too good to be true, hey? But these aren't pie-in-the-sky ideas never to be attained by mere mortals. No, every day in my studio and studios like mine, we singing teachers are striving to help our singing students achieve the liberty of a free voice, along with every benefit that accompanies it. So today I want to give you some insight into each of the 8 aspects of free voice so that you can strive to achieve vocal freedom also. The first session I do with virtually every student is focused on the first aspect of free voice, body. Your body is your instrument. Sounds simple enough, but achieving a balanced and buoyant body state takes time. I'm generally offering instruction to my clients to remain evenly balanced over the balls of the feet while also maintaining soft knees for good alignment. Shewell recommends starting with work on the body, checking out the client's postural habits and tension points and working practically, if necessary, in whatever exercises seem appropriate. Our next area of focus is breath. Learning to manage the breath stream is an essential aspect of developing a free voice because breath literally fuels the voice. No air and no sound. And more importantly, if you have an inconsistent breath stream, you're likely to have inconsistent notes. When workshopping your breath management, be mindful of both the inhalation phase as well as the exhalation phase, and be sure to develop strategies for adjusting the breath flow pressures in accordance with your chosen genres. Now, the third aspect of free voice is simply labeled channel. Channel is an all-encompassing word for the different areas of the vocal tract, including the larynx, pharynx, soft palate, nasopharynx, tongue, lips, and jaw. The channel is primarily responsible for resonance and articulation, both of which we'll cover in a second, but it is helpful for the student singer to think about the different zones of the channel, ensuring they are free from surplus tension. Again, Shewell is helpful here when she writes, the free voice should have no excess or inappropriate tension in the muscles of the face, lips, jaw, tongue, soft palate, pharynx and larynx that would negatively affect the flow of air, quality of sound, or health of the structures. If the channel represents the journey of the sound, then the fourth aspect of the free voice represents the commencement of the journey, phonation. The term phonation accounts for the way the vocal folds commence and finish their oscillations, often called onset and offset respectively. I have another video about onsets that I'll leave a link to below, but for our purposes today, it's enough to know that we have 3 main onsets and offsets: soft, sometimes called breathy; hard, sometimes called glottal attack; and a simultaneous onset, sometimes called balanced. The term phonation also includes the manner in which the vocal folds maintain their oscillation. Words such as pressed, raspy, distorted, clean, breathy, thick, thin. These are all the words used to describe the various phonatory patterns used by contemporary singers. Now, number 5 is resonance. When we hear another person's voice, we detect the acoustic qualities of that voice as predetermined by the intentional or unintentional shapings of one's vocal tract, the channel. The human voice is capable of a vast variety of resonance qualities. Shewell explains that the free voice will have a mix of resonance qualities. If there is too much focus of one rather than all of them, the voice will sound imbalanced. She goes on to state that if there is a back of the throat constriction, there will be an auditory impression of backed resonant quality. The free voice has a forward in the mouth quality sound. As we continue to look at the 8 aspects of free voice, you might like to consider downloading my exercise CD, Dr. Dan's Voice Essentials, so named because it has been carefully designed to cover all 8 aspects of the free voice. It even helps the student singer to develop the 6th aspect, pitch. Learning to sing in tune is only one facet of pitch, but it is an important one when learning to sing. But the only way to develop consistently more accurate intonation is to have a voice that is free to travel its full anatomical range. When writing about pitch, Shewell warns us that if a speaker has a restricted and rather dull pitch variety in his voice, pitch variety work alone may not be effective if the speaker's posture remains stiff and completely unmoving in presentations. And while Shewell is referencing spoken pitch values in this quote, the same goes for the singing voice. If you struggle with pitch accuracy, you may find that your body state is holding too much tension. The second last aspect of free voice is loudness. Many young beginner singers that I work with tend to over-sing. Singing with volume is often not a problem for the youthful contemporary singer, but that's not to say that the same singers are producing their volume in a healthy and sustainable way. More often than not, the untrained voice, when attempting to create an increase in volume, will load the larynx with high levels of breath pressure, which in turn can cause the voice to brace with muscular tension. Too much tension results in a labour-intensive workload that wears and tears at the voice over time. But it's not only loud singing that is accounted for by the 7th aspect of free voice. Loudness also includes quiet singing. In fact, learning to sing quietly while also maintaining a free and agile mechanism can take quite a bit of work. Having worked on the first 7 aspects of free voice, body, breath, channel, phonation, resonance, pitch, and loudness, we are now ready to communicate freely by working on the 8th and arguably the most crucial aspect, articulation. There is no sense in having a free voice if there is nothing to communicate. More importantly, the clarity of our communication comes from our ability to form the narrative with clear articulation. Shewell explains that regardless of language or accent, the free voice will have clearly audible pronunciation of the speech sounds, consonants, and vowels. Shewell also includes 4 prosodic values under the umbrella term of articulation, including a variation of pace, appropriate pauses, fluency, and rhythm. In closing, it is vital that we recognise that the achievable ideal of a free voice, while an important goal for every voice, is not the prerequisite for a successful singing career. There are many famous singers whose vocal performance careers have been and continue to be built on what some might claim to be poor technique. Shewell names Rod Stewart and Bob Dylan as examples of successful singers whose vocal technique is limited, but these same singers and many others aside have had wonderfully productive careers. Shewell warns that we cannot be rigidly doctrinaire about what works in a voice because the person-voice link is so idiosyncratic. There are many voices out there, and the concept of the free voice is never a prescription for all because the sum of a person's voice is always bigger than the sum of the parts that make up the sound. And let's never lose sight of the sense of that individuality in our singing. Otherwise, the world will become a very boring place. I hope you've learned something from today's video. I've put together a playlist of 8 more videos covering each individual aspect of free voice, which you'll see on the screen beside me, just here. I encourage you to deep dive into each one so that you can really develop each aspect of your singing. I'll see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.